Let's Talk to Animals. My name is Shannon, animal intuitive and sensitive, aka animal communicator at animallovelanguages.com. This speaking precious one is Pearl Cuts, my 23-year-old sidekick. Here at Let's Talk to Animals, we are talking about all things animal communication. Oh yes, we talk to actual animals, non-human animals, and we're talking about how does it work? Who can do it? How woo is it? Are we finally arriving in a period of time here on the planet when animal communication is the thing to be doing, and perhaps the one and only thing that could salvage the world that we all share together? It's not that I don't love the idea of going to Mars, maybe for a vacation, but I really like it here on Earth. And so there's a place for everyone at the table who would like to have these interspecies conversations. And my job as your hostess is simply to introduce you to some of the many amazing intuitives, energy workers, light workers, and animal communicators who are out there in this world. Maybe some of them are right in your own backyard, and they are every single day living bucket list dreams of being able to communicate and reconnect with all of life. And so here with us today is David Lewis. You can find David at talktoyouranimals.co. Just make sure you note that down. I'll put it in the show notes as well. It's CO, not COM, like we're used to. So already a little bit of working with the mind here and getting creative. So David is a longtime animal communicator, a sensitive and intuitive like myself. And so honored to have you on the show today, David. Thank you for donating your time to talk to our listeners and our viewers.
Well, I'm thrilled. I'm really excited. I love to talk about my work. I could, you might have to interrupt me to get a word in edgewise.
Well, it's interesting because I was just interviewing another communicator in our community, and she was sharing how there was one study done recently that people that talk to animals are some of the happiest people in their career.
Oh.
It was not a surprise to me.
Of course, yeah. Of course. Oh my God. Huh.
Yeah, but the outcome was certainly not a surprise. So, of course, you've been doing this for quite some time now. Yeah, so it's been, it's something that's become a part of your daily life. But like all of us, there was probably a time in your life, if we rewind far back enough, that this was all brand new and shiny, maybe very exciting, maybe a little bit ethereal. Maybe you had, no idea that anybody else on the planet even did this thing that we now call animal communication. And we have a lot of folks listening who are either aspiring or just curious and interested, or maybe new on their journeys. And so I always like to invite our guests to take us back, kind of share a little bit about how you hold it.
Well, Shannon, up until probably when I started studying communication, I wasn't what you would consider an animal person. Okay, I thought I was cool with animals, but I was what my teacher Penelope, would call a person with a human superiority complex. Okay? Yeah, I thought I was cool. I loved animals, but I just never questioned that people were more important. And I had a personal situation. I don't want to tell the whole story. It'll take up too much time. But I had a situation with a friend who I offended because she interrupted a conversation with me to go look at a kitten. Okay. And I said, but it's only a cat. Okay. So that was me. That was me in 1995. Okay. So we're talking 25 years ago. I never thought I'd be doing this. When she told me that she was going to take a class in it, I didn't say anything to her, but my feeling was, come on, let's just let animals be animals and let people learn how to communicate, I just didn't think animals would have anything to say. Believe it or not, this is where I came from. But a couple of cats in my neighborhood got together to kind of school me, And, they sort of opened me up to the fact that there's a lot more, going on than I was allowing. So I was studying psychic development. Is what happened. And somebody said, and this is about 5 years after I just said that I dismissed the idea. I'm studying psychic development. And somebody says to me in class, they say, you can do this with animals. And I totally flipped out. It was like I didn't even remember how I felt about it 5 years earlier. I was just totally drawn because I was doing psychic stuff and it was working out really well. It was very easy for me. So I ran off and started studying. I was 45 years old. Okay. I mean, I'm not, this was my last career, thank God. And this, I tell people, how you have a client and they don't need you every week. They may call you 2 years later. Well, when mine do, the person says, are you still doing animal communication? And I say, I will be doing animal communication. I'd be happy to die next to a dog with my clipboard and my pen in my hand, it's just, I can't imagine doing anything else. It's so beautiful. And, so the cats turned me on is what happened. They turned me around and, set me straight. And it's all in my book, but I can't tell you all the stories because I do benefits for rescue groups. I told you you'd have trouble getting in. I do benefits for rescue groups. I talk for an hour and a half telling stories, and then I do a demonstration. So, you just wind me up. You don't have to wind me up. Just, push a button and I'll start.
You're wow.
I'm wow. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Oh, God. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I want to encourage our listeners and if you're watching this on YouTube right now, to consider, have you had some earlier experiences in your life? Is there a reason you decided to listen to Let's Talk to Animals, the podcast, instead of watching Homeschooling for Beginners or How to Make the Perfect Lemon Meringue Pie? I mean, you have so much to belittle the other podcasts out there, but we have a wealth of things to choose from. And there may be something inside you. Maybe you're listening to this going, gosh, I wish I could do this. Maybe you're listening to this thinking, I know I could never do this, but I'd like to find somebody that I trust who could help me talk to my animal. Or maybe you're listening and you're at the beginning of your own journey and you're seeking inspiration, encouragement, support. You're trying to find your people. And I'll tell you what, David, I love what you just said, because I can certainly empathize with, kind of being in a place where, looking back at before and maybe after, it wasn't like one moment, one defining moment. Some people have that, but it was just a series of experiences with a few different animals that really started to wake me up to the fact that this isn't something that we do. This is a part of who we are. Yeah. Once we remember, I hate to bring up the old tired Matrix analogy, but kind of because this is the good thing, it's like I haven't yet met anybody that has woken up to this interspecies connectivity and wants to go back to sleep. So even when that's possible, there's something about rediscovering our connectivity with all of life around us that for me, it's made me feel more alive.
Oh, every day. I tell people the best days of my life are the days when I'm talking to animals. They say, well, I hate to bother you. And I'm like, bother me? This is what I live for. There's so much love. It's just so, I just feel so much, I just bring so much love. I feel it when I see them and work with them. And it's just, I've made friends. I feel animals are, that I've made friends with, that I just have a deep connection with, that I just feel. I feel their intensity, their intelligence, their love, their, who they are. I just feel it inside me. I sort of carry them around. I have this.
Exactly. And to know that you have this community. We're all this is our community. And for me, it makes me feel brave when somebody says, when I lost my box turtle, escaped last year, right after my father died and before my mother had a serious fall, that has my whole last year has been like, wait, what happened? And so much about it has been so uncertain. And yet I have no problem telling people that I miss Bruce every day. I lost one of my best friends, and it's like I have so much courage to honor the animals in my life in the fullness of who they are to me, and the depth of the connection that we share, because I know I'm not alone in that. Maybe I'm talking to somebody who doesn't get it, but for me at this point in my life, it's like, well, that's their loss. I'm not going to necessarily spend time trying to convince them otherwise, but I'm simply going to offer that, my best friend right here is this bird, and with so much change going on in my life, he is my bestest.
I love the kissing. I love the kissing. I kiss all my animals. I kiss all the cats on the top of their heads. I want to respond to something you said before about people wondering whether they could do it. Penelope Smith was my main teacher. I spent weeks out in California, with her. And when I was helping her at a workshop up here at a yoga center in Massachusetts, and somebody in the class asked, can anybody do this? Okay. And I said, well, let me go ask Penelope. And here's what Penelope said. Anyone can do this as long as they believe they can. Okay. Now, think about that. That's true of everything in life, right? You have to believe you can first. And that's really it. And when I teach, that's the biggest obstacle is having people relax and just allow whatever comes in and trust it and not try to judge it and not try to decide whether it's right or wrong, but just let it come in, and not to try so hard. People, I walk up and down the aisle, I've got a class, and it's like they're just all scrunched up, trying to get something. It's like, no. You just allow it, okay? I don't like when people call it a reading. I really don't like that at all.
It's not my favorite.
People do, and I don't want to irritate them or, make them feel bad, so I don't say anything, but I really don't like that at all. It's not a reading, it's a conversation, it's a connection, it's a heart connection. It's just not a reading at all. I'm not extracting information from an inanimate object. I'm interacting with life, with all of life, really, every time. Any animals, it's all, the whole holography is, I guess, it's all us.
Yeah. Well, and it's an interesting point that you bring up, especially for those of us who are, or those of you who are watching or listening, and you are embarking on the beginning of your journey, because it is deeply personal, and you get to choose the words that you use to describe the experiences that you're having, and you get to personalize the experience. It's almost like you begin to develop your own inner language with yourself. And there's all these different parts of you. I love your image of your students with their heads kind of scrunched up, and I'm imagining how the information that the animal sent has already slipped in, and then their mind kind of pounced on it like a cat. Play with this a bit. And before
I just don't know. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
Okay, I was doing a class at a psychic development center in Albany, here where I live, or near where I live, and I had a young girl. And what I do when I start this class is, Shannon, I give them pictures of my own animals, okay? So that way I can validate the information they're getting. So I gave her a picture of my soul cat, Ringo, who's on the back cover of my book. And he was just my boy. And she says to me, and he was alive, and she says to me, I'm asking Ringo to tell me about his life. And she said, do you live near the ocean? Because all he keeps showing me is the ocean. And I was like, well, no, I live in Albany, New York. It's about 300 miles to the ocean, Well, here's what it was, okay? Ringo hung out with me all the time. He would sit, I had an office in my bedroom when we lived up on a mountain in the woods, and he would lie down between my computer keyboard and the monitor, okay? Now, on the monitor, my screensaver was a photo that my wife had taken. We were lucky enough to have friends in the Cayman Islands. She took a picture of the sunset in Grand Cayman. Ringo's lying there every day looking at the ocean. So when she says, tell me about your life, he shows her a picture of the ocean, it was just that, that's a part of my life. I'm here with my, dad, and we're hanging out. It was really sweet. He their energy is so beautiful, and the way they look at things, and
And it's such a testament to
so much.
The purity of the animal's conversation. It's like when the mind will pounce on it, maybe she's like, oh, this just doesn't make sense. He said, it's like, it's not our job to make sense of it. The animal's person. It's our job to share purely and accurately exactly what we receive, and then that human, if it doesn't make instant sense, always go back and ask more questions, just like we would with another human, you know, if it
of course.
Ask.
But people get the wrong idea. They think, like I said something to a woman last night. She gave me a picture of a dog. I said, well, so what's going on? She says, well, aren't you supposed to tell me that? You know, and it reminded me of my first psychic development teacher. He used to say, I'm psychic, not omniscient. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll always tell people when I'm doing a consult, I'll always tell them I might be coming back to you for questions to clarify something that I'm seeing that I don't necessarily understand. You know?
Yeah, it's not a test. I always tell
You're right, exactly.
that. It's such an easy mindset to fall into, because it's the mindset we've been taught our whole lives. It's how we went through school. It's everything.
Right.
We learn material, and then we get tested on it, and then we pass or we fail. I mean, I often share this story with my students that, you know, I have never yet come out of a conversation with any other life form, be it my own species or an animal, and come out and been like, man, I just nailed that. Like A++. Like there's always more to learn. And so we can't expect that we're going to go into a conversation and we're being graded.
Right.
Without learning to listen more deeply, learning to repeat back what we heard if we're not sure what we're receiving, learning to ask, having that connection, caring enough about the other being's perspective to deeply endeavor and intend to receive the most truthful and accurate information for their highest good.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. I often think of the quote by Albert Einstein where he said, either nothing's a miracle or everything's a miracle.
Or everything's a miracle.
It reminds me of what you said, you know, either I can do it or I can't do it. And chances are really good that either way, that's exactly what I'm going to experience, because that's what I'm setting myself up for. What if you can?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Once you crack the code, it's easy, you know, once you get it. And the thing with me is it just came real easy. It came easy with people. I was going to, you know, do readings for people. But when I heard about animals, I was like, you know, hey, I mean, because animals need us. Animals need people that speak their language. They desperately do. And people, if you want a psychic reading, you know, just go online, Shannon, and choose from the thousands of people. You know, animal communicators, not so many. Male animal communicators, sorry.
That's even rarer. Yeah.
You know, very rare. Yeah. So I just love what I do. Oh my God, I just, you know.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, and you shared a little bit with me right before we started recording, but you've got a new book coming out, and I believe you have the cover.
It's called Listen with the Heart, okay? Stories and Reflections from an Animal Communicator. The book is stories, a lot of stories. Some of them are funny. Some of them are really unusual. Some of them, you know, end with an animal dying. But they're very heartwarming, very inspirational. And I have a couple chapters on behavior change, because, you know, that's a big thing with all of us. They want to tell them to stop doing this, you know. So you know, I call it initiating behavior change, because we're not doing it. We're not making them change. They're not going to change unless they want it. But initiating it is a way to offer them the opportunity and show them that things could be better for them if they could let go of some of the aggression and fear that they have, you know, that kind of thing. So I got chapters on, you know, death and dying and afterlife, and a few chapters on how I got here, you know, what my life was like with animals before that, as a kid, you know, and stuff like that. It took me a long time to write, and
writing a book.
I think before.
That's a big job.
Oh God! Oh my God! Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot
I don't mind.
Of work.
Yeah.
My agent used to say, you know, people would contact her and say, I really want to write a book, and she would say, no, you don't. Nobody wants to write a book. They need to write a book, and that's what gets us through the actual writing and the editing and the publication process. And so, I've got a little friend here.
I used to say I wanted to have written a book, you know, but not necessarily write a book. I never thought I could, but what I did was I took all my stories and I went to a writing coach, and she taught me how to, you know, write them instead of talk them. You know, I thought, I got all these stories to tell, and she taught me how to change them into written words so that they're, comprehensible for people, and some reflections on what happens. And I sometimes, what I love about this work, I don't know about you, but what I love about this work is it's like jumping off a cliff every time. I open myself up to an animal. I have no idea what they're going to say, what they're about at all. I'm just stepping into the void, and saying, okay, you just fill me with whatever it is you got, your feelings, your hurts, your words, whatever. Just lay it on me, and, I'll get you inside me, and we'll see what's going on. But I just love the
animals can really inspire us to tackle new things maybe we never thought we would do before. I certainly never thought I would be an animal communication teacher, and then some of my clients decided otherwise, and I was willing because I felt the support of the animals. And it feels like there are so many different things that may be waiting up ahead on our journey if we just say yes to the initial. What if one conversation could change your life? Maybe that's our takeaway for today's podcast for listening and watching. What if one conversation what if one conversation already has changed your life?
I get my life changed a lot.
Yes, absolutely. So
I very often get my life changed.
It's been a joy having you on the show. I really appreciate you sharing your time and your story, and inspiring, especially those of us on this, in the Let's Talk to Animals community who are just taking those first tentative steps, even if only in their minds and hearts, and considering how reconnecting with the other species here on wonderful planet Earth may simply transform them forever for the better.
One of my wisest teachers said once, intention is everything, okay? So it's what you intend to do. When I give people a lot of homework, okay? Like I'll see a visualization can help their animal after I leave, if they work with one, to help them do what we want to accomplish. And I'll tell them how to do it. I'll show them how I do. Then I'll say, don't worry about doing it right. Do not worry about doing it the way I said. Just go for it. Do it. Don't worry, am I doing it right? Just do it. Have the intention to communicate. Have the intention to open your heart to this creature, and it'll be what it needs to be. And so many people just tell me, oh, I don't believe, I just look at my animals so differently now. And that's what we want to do. We want people to look at animals, differently. And animals love it because who talks to them? I mean, they're in their own world. How often do they get somebody who, when I come over, sometimes they're like, wow, he's really talking to me. It's funny. It's really sweet. Yeah, it's funny.
Well, it's an interesting contemplation to think about, what if you have so much to say, but you've never met anybody in your life who wants to listen, who knows that you can talk. And what an amazing day that is when somebody, especially somebody you love and you trust and you keep company with every day, turns around and says, tell me what you want, what you need, what you want to share, what you want your life, and what a relief that would be. To be able to really express what's in your heart, what's on your mind, and maybe even contribute to that other person's life, and offer wisdom that nobody else could get away with sharing. Like our animals can get away with things; they can tell us things we can't tolerate hearing from another member of our own species, because they convey the messages with so much love. And that's kind of where I learned in my animal communication journey that it's absolutely fine to talk to my own animals. They're not just going to tell me what a bad pet parent I am. They right. So anyway, I'm absolutely delighted that we've had this chance to connect over Let's Talk to Animals. So go ahead and David's book on Amazon, and also on talktoyouranimals.co, David Lewis, Animal Communicator. And I'm going to be traveling all over, doing readings, and hopefully with shelters. I can help. I want to give some. I give a lot back, so I want to give some of the, do a reading with a shelter and give a portion of the proceeds to
to the shelters.
Beautiful. If you're listening or watching and you are involved with charitable work for animals, you now know how to
Contact me, yeah.
and connect with
Contact me.
And provide some really inspiring and enlightening information to shelters and rescues all over the country. So who knows what can happen. Those of you who are listening and watching, thank you for choosing Let's Talk to Animals. Thank you for being with us here today. Want to remind you that you can head over to animallovelanguages.com and you can find, when you just click on podcast, you can find the whole list of all of our episodes, YouTube and all your favorite streaming services. So you can immerse yourself in the wonderful world, the community that I live and move in, that I feel so grateful to be a part of. And you can also, of course, find this one, Pearl Cuts. Next week, you can find a fresh new episode here at Let's Talk to Animals.
Thank you, Shannon. It's wonderful. I'm glad you found me. I'm so glad you found me. Yeah. Okay.
Me
Bye-bye.
too. Me too. Okay. Bye for now.